Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. My name, of course, is Kanka the Great, coming at you with another YouTube-worthy video. Today, we're doing a video on the Sage Awakening Succession market value. Getting your memes, your blue stones, your armor stones, your weapon stones, your meme frags, and why are those going to inflate in price, and why it's still not too late to invest now. With me, I have my friend Neve. He basically guided me through this entire process. We shared Discord calls and streams, and he basically, with the guild's help, he's guided me through this whole process. So Neve, could you just tell me a little bit about your background as a player in BDO?
Oh yeah, I've been playing this game. Oh shoot, probably. Well, I started playing in Korea actually before the game came over here, so I've been playing since this game started, way back when. And I played it when it started here, and I've been playing it for, well, this is our 5th anniversary here now for this whole event, so about 5 years now here in the NA servers. So
Right.
playing a long time, watching everything kind of grow and go as it goes. Watch everything come to be as it sits. I mean, when I first started playing this game, there was only like 3 classes, and now we have what, 21 of them now, I think. With
Yeah,
the
there's
Sage,
like 21. Yeah, with Sage, I think you're right. So basically, the video today we're going to be getting into is the market value research that we've been conducting. So over the past couple of days, me and my friend Neve, as well as some other guildies from Irregulars, we've been basically doing a market research on memes, armor stones, weapon stones, red stones, and blue stones, and basically why those will go up and exponentially in price. Every time a new character comes out, the memes and armor stones basically shoot up exponentially in price overnight, and you basically have a 10 to 12 hour window to collect your profit. So Neve, could you tell us a little bit about your research that you've done? Not even just the research, but just your overall knowledge of the market as far as when the new character classes come out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so originally when classes first came out, there wasn't too much of a surge, because when the game first came out, enhancing wasn't really a thing. Having +5 stuff was more than enough for any of the areas we had available to us. So inside of that bracket, obviously it's guaranteed. So initially there wasn't really a whole lot of up or down with the market. They were just set prices. Well, they introduced this whole versatile market thing where it would shift with the needs of supply and demand. And
Okay.
and this occurred right around the Awakening Warriors launch, which was the very first Awakening class ever introduced.
Oh goodness. Gravedigger.
Yep. So when this guy originally came out, there was like this, for the first time ever, there's this massive influx in cost of weapons that were for other classes, like main hand weapons, like a main hand Zarka, right? Back in the day, like a main hand Zarka for pen was like 990 million, because nobody had those levels of money.
Right.
But
I heard that like Tech Kudums and Pen Kudums would go for like $1 billion on the market easily.
They were much less money than they are now. So, and mind you, like back then you could look at the total ever sold amount. And pens, you could go back from the beginning of time and only like 1 or 2 of them had ever been sold ever on the market. Wow. So pens back then were, you know, this god thing that never actually happened.
Remember the old marketplace system where it did show you how many times it's been sold. So it told me, as not even a novice player at the time, I had really low AP and I could barely even do polys. But at the time that I was grinding, the AP bracket was like around 240 to 269. I think 261. Everyone was like just now getting 261. It was a big deal to get 261 AP.
Yeah, 450 gear score was like the standard back then, actually. So the 250 DP, 200 AP was like the meta. 450 gear score was a sought after amount, and then it moved up to 520, and then it moved up to like 580. I think there was a really large jump there when some certain gear came
and
out.
Now you can get 540 just on a seasonal character, just getting everything to pen and converting your boss gear.
Yeah. When the Warrior first came out a long time ago, I started paying attention to like how the market would kind of fluctuate really heavily. and it would fluctuate so heavily that their main hand, like back in the day, Yuria was actually kind of like the meta when the warrior was first made awakening.
Yeah,
Yuria
I
and
have heard about that.
Laverto.
Yeah, Yuri and Laverto.
Yep. So a Yuria weapon, instead of being like at pen like 100 million, which back then was holy crap, that was a lot of money. It jumped up to like 380 million for a pen, like it tripled in price across the board.
Yeah, I remember specifically because of that surge, Laverto versus Uria. I specifically remember having to buy Rosar for my sorcerer.
Yeah, this was before we knew about accuracy stats, before we knew about evasion, before we knew about any of the hidden stats that we now see so readily on it. You can just look at a stat card and know exactly what it has. Before the surge in accuracy as the meta, red coral earrings sold for like 200k a piece. And then I logged out for like a month and a half while they introduced the whole accuracy thing. I came back and all these red coral earrings I had stacked up because grinding at pirates was like the shit back then. I came back on and I had a ton of red coral earrings. I sold them when they were originally worth 200k. Now they're worth 2.6 million.
Yeah, true.
Meta shifting really dictates the market, and so with the warrior being the meta, because he was the only one of the awakening, we saw this triple price tag. But that also comes hand in hand with the items needed to enhance said gear. So if you look at like meme frags and stuff the way they are now, back then people didn't really use them because you could just use the same weapon for a 10 durability match and then use an artisan memory to get 50.
Yeah, because you were smashing greens and blues, it really didn't matter.
Right. You could buy one for 60k off the market or whatever. It wasn't a big deal. So where it sits now, like for example, tomorrow the Sage is about to come out. So right now, in the past 72 hours, meme frags went from 1.3 to 1.4 million, all the way up to I think it's almost 1.8 right now. It's at 1.78, I believe.
Right.
So we saw a 34% increase in the price tag of those meme frags, which I purchased for 1.4, 1 point whatever. Really low amounts of money is basically what I bought them for.
Yeah, my first 2,000 memes I bought at 1.45. I specifically remember because I had to put it above some dude that kept overcutting me.
Yep, and so we'll see. I'm assuming tomorrow. Okay, so my time, the downtime will begin at 9 a.m. The game will come back up if everything goes well, which usually it does for the most part. Every now and again, we'll get like an hour or two delay, and they'll usually compensate with that for with memory fragments or a gift box or something. But if it goes as planned, it'll come back up at 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., every meme frag on the market, and meme frag meaning memory fragment for people who don't know what they are in game yet, they're called memory fragments, and they restore a small amount of durability to gear depending on the grade. If it's gray, it's I believe 20.
Right. I have the overlay on my stream, so I'm pointing out to what the item that they know.
So for white, it should be it's 10 for white, 5 for green, 2 for blue, and 1 for yellow. And now these boss gear items, which is obviously the standard, the golden standard that everybody uses, it restores 1 durability. If you go for an enhancement and it fails, you lose 10 durability. So every 1 failure, which is likely in the Pry Duo Tri-Tap Pen area, 1 failure equals 10 memory fragments. So every 1 weapon stone sold for an attempt pretty much nets 10 memory fragments that are going to have to be purchased. So as it sits, it's a 10-to-1 on weapon stones. So if what I already know to be true, we've sold out of every meme frag all the way up to 1.78 now. Tomorrow, all those 1.78s to 1.8s will be gone, which there's about 60,000 of them. But mind you, there are going to be several 100,000 players all doing this at the same time. And all of them are going to fail many times in their enhancements, which means this market will zero out inside of the first 2 hours. Once it's zeroed out, every meme frag that's listed at max price will be bought, and then the market will see that there's more demand than there is supply, and it will continue to raise the price tag on these, what the market sees as increasingly rare items. So it will continue to climb and climb and climb and climb and climb and climb until usually there is a stopping point for every item, and I believe meme frags do have a stopping point of about 3.6, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the absolute peak they can hit. Whereas like weapon stones, like the red concentrated magical black stones, those were for a very long time before the season started, were always at 4 mil even. Now they're down to, I believe, 2.2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're sitting at 2.3 for listings.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's average price tag, but there's always 100 or 200 to 300k under, or 200 to 300k over, depending on what we're talking about. So generally right now it's sitting between 2.2 and 2.4. When all these are bought up for these new enhancements, because there's people enhancing these new items for their own gear, and then there's also people enhancing items to sell because they know that people are going to buy them. If you go to the market as it sits right now and you look at main hand, let's just go to something super popular that, you know, you go to let's see here, what's a really popular class? We'll go to like staffs for witch wizards. There is a buttload of Zarkas up, Tri and Tet Zarkas. Nobody wants to buy them because it's not because nobody wants to buy them, it's because the class has been out for a while, nobody's really too interested in them. So they're just kind of sitting there. This new class, every single item, Laverto, Zarka, any sort of boss gear item, even the green stuff, people don't care. They just want something on this new character. So people will be enhancing specifically to sell. And once again, because the market's going to be so depraved with all these new weapons, the price tag for the Tet Zarka for right now for a staff is 1.54 is average, 1.54 billion.
Right, and just to interject on what you said earlier, you had said that there's volatile priced items. Now you're referring to when the memes go above their demand, that they start skyrocketing in price.
Yeah.
That goes under the volatile price items, and then it starts stacking out after that. Correct?
The way volatile pricing works is basically somebody's listed something so absurdly above the price tag of what the actual item's worth on average. Let's say, for example, right now, if you go to the buy section and go to volatile price stuff, you'll see all the Pen Elsh stuff up there. The reason being is because Pen Elsh is actually not really worth 835 million. The reason why they're worth 835 million right now is because they're popular, because they're the best alternative to a Tet Zarka. Okay, so if you ultimate a Elsh weapon, they will be on par with the Tet Zarka as far as damage, and they'll have more accuracy. And they also have AP against monsters and damage against all species. So they're an extremely good, very cheap alternative to Zarka. But because so many people are buying them at Pen and Tet, and then trying to get them to Pen or whatever, and then ultimate them, the price tag therefore goes up and up and up and up and up and up, and the supply is just not there. So that's why it's a volatile pricing. It's not actually worth that. It's beyond the stopping point, basically. Basically, Pen Elsh was supposed to stop 155 million ago. It says plus 155 million. That means it's above the maximum game implemented price that they believe the weapon's worth. We've forced the market to go above what the game developers believe the item is worth. That's what volatile pricing is. It's above the value of what the game developers believe they're worth.
So it's pushed it beyond the bracket that it's worth, is what you're saying.
Yes. Basically, It would be absurdly stupid to buy that item as it sits. If you go down to like Xerath, because Xerath has absurdly high evasion on it, and that's like the new popular thing is evasion. Xerath helmets have skyrocketed in price. If you look at the Xerath helmet, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a Xerath helmet there, plus 360 million above what that item should ever be listed at. But people are buying them because that is the meta. Evasion is where it's at. So people don't care about the price tag. Or even if you go down to like Pen Weapon Core, for some reason people are buying Pen Weapon Cores out the yin yang, and they're 1.36 billion above what they're supposed to be. I don't know why people are buying weapon cores. Honestly, that one I could not tell you. I have no clue how they got so high, because they're really not they're really not a great accessory. I mean, they're great if
Yeah.
you're starting the game. They're amazing. They're a blue item. They're way better than any green or gray crap you're going to pick up throughout the story. They're really good. But as far as like any sort of end game stuff, that's just, I don't even know who would want to make a pen item of that, because any other, you could get a Tet.
As the market goes, now the memes that we had established, we're establishing the prices for the volatile items. So
Right.
memes, armor stones, weapon stones, red stones, blue stones, and those are the main ones that we were collecting. Now, could you just give us an overview of the memes, armor stones, reds, and blues, of like the actual prices that you would be able to list them at and make your a decent
Oh
profit
yeah,
margin?
absolutely.
If you were to enter in right now and buy memes, unfortunately, if the people were to act now, I was trying to keep this under wraps until it came like that night. But if you're watching right now, you probably could still jump in at 1.7 or 1.8 and still make, what did we establish it was, a 70 to
So
75% chance profit?
okay. So basically, you'll buy them at 1.7, about 1.8. They'll peak out at about 3.6, which would, even at 1.8 million a piece, would be a double profit, but minus 15% for the market taxes, assuming you have value pack. If you do not have value pack, you will be paying 30% in taxes. You'll still make profit, almost 50, I believe a little over 50%, but not nearly as much as if you have value pack, which right now all the value pack stuff is super on sale for all these events, so it's super easy to get, and they give it to you for completing the story and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
and worst case scenario, you could always just get it with loyalties if you have some loyalties saved up from all these events.
exactly. Yep. Lots and lots of ways for you to get value packs right now. Even if you just needed to get one for a day, just to cover this one event where you could make a ton of money. So, like, for example, meme frags, as they sit right now, like I said, 1.7 to 1.8 is generally where they're sitting. You could put orders in for less and see if maybe somebody will fill them, because they're just trying to get money. Lots and lots of people don't understand what they're for yet. There are a lot of new players in here because the game was free. And so people have just started selling them because they're worth lots of money. They don't understand why. They don't really care. They just want the money because they're new and they're trying to figure out what to do with their money. So the big thing is also with concentrated magical blackstones. Now that's one that's kind of a two-part kind of piece of information. The big part about the magical blackstones is there's two different variants of the blackstone. You can get the sharp black crystal shard, which is basically a material used to make the concentrated. Right now, those are sitting at about 1.7. Okay, so you can buy one of those, and I believe you need 2 blackstone weapons to make combined with them via heating in the L tab, which is your processing window. And those are running at about, right now, the weapon ones are, what are they running? 120k a piece. So you need 240k for those. So total with 1.7 base price plus 240,000. So you're sitting at 1.9 million right now as it sits. Right now, technically, in theory, you could buy them at their price right now, make them and sell them and make a couple thousand profit and basically do that infinitely right now. But there's not a lot of people buying the weapon stones right now because basically tomorrow is going to be the rollover for this new class. The thing about the concentrated black magical weapon stones is they are actually supposed to be at about 4 million. The base price for magical black weapon stones back in the day was 4 million even all the time because there was high demand, low production. So right now, if you were to buy just every single one of them you possibly could, right now, the sharps and the regular weapon stones, and make your own, you would make even more profit because you'd be spending almost 500k less making them, as opposed to just buying the concentrated magical black weapon stones in their put together form. So if you make your own, and let's say you bought 100 of the concentrated ones pre-built, and then made 100, you'd make quite a bit more, almost 30% more money off of reselling these when they hit their 4 million peak. So making them is the smarter choice. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there's no sharps on there, which is only 1,000 right now, I think, like 1,300 or something.
Yeah, 1,300 right now.
There's not a whole lot of them on the market, but if you look, there are metric buttloads of orders up. So people want them because they know what's happening tomorrow, which is the price tag is going to skyrocket. And nobody's going to want to fill those orders because everybody wants to get the most out of their stuff. So nobody's going to fill an order for 1,600 because they want to fill the orders for the 1.6 million. Nobody's going to fill those orders because they're going to want to fill the orders for the guys filing orders for 2.6 million tomorrow.
Right.
You know, so those are going to sit there and get unfilled.
Yeah, they want to peek out.
Right. So tomorrow, if you were to buy all these today for 1.95 million and put them together, total per one, so it'd be 2 weapon stones, 1 sharp. If you were to buy, let's say, 1,000 worth of these, 1.7 or 1.9 billion worth of these, and you were to resell them tomorrow at the peak of 4 million a piece per magical blackstone, you'd make a profit of, like, I think it's about 75%, 75 to 78%. Total. So
right.
you would.
I believe that's what we established before, correct?
Yeah. So you put in 1.7 billion, and so like I'm gonna do a little bit of math here real quick just to make sure I'm being as accurate as I can be. So we put in 1.7, or no, with the black crystals, the regular black weapon crystals, we put in 1.95. So we'll put in 1.95 billion. Okay, and then we multiply that by 2. Because that's literally going to double to 4 million. So literally double. I mean, give or take 50,000 per or whatever. So a very small margin of error here. You'd end up with 3.9 billion. So if you multiply that by 0.15 to take out your taxes, you'd lose 585 million in taxes. So you'd end up making 3.315 billion off of 1.9 billion. So you'd make a pretty colossal 70 to 75% profit.
Now, for one of my last questions, would you still recommend someone, if they had absolutely no access to a value pack, they had no money to spend, no pearls, they had no free value packs, they had no attendance rewards, they had no loyalties, would it be worth selling and buying and reselling at the 30% price market for the market tax?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no matter what you do, you're going to be making money. Plain and simple. You won't make as much. You only have a profit margin of about 50%, even at double pricing, but you would still make 50% more. So out of 1.9 million, let's just say 2 billion even. Let's just to make this math easier. If you spent 2 billion, you would come out with 3 billion.
Right. So you would basically make, what is that, 100? Almost...
You'd make $1 billion pretty solid.
Yeah.
If you spent 2 billion. So once again, even if you don't have that much money, we're talking about billions, and a lot of people that are just starting this game don't even conceive that number as possible in their gameplay. Even if you don't have that much money, this is a good starting point. Something very small. Maybe you have a few million laying around, grab a couple memfrags, turn them into more money. Why not? You have more money now. Now you have more money to play with, where you know, even going through the story or whatever, they give you meme frags. There are tons of events going, like colossal events going on right now. Black Spirit Adventures with their special boards. There are tons of ways to get Caphras, Kron, and memory fragments, which are all going to skyrocket in price. Well, not the Krons, but the Caphras and the memory fragments will all skyrocket in price tag with the introduction of all these new character weapons and stuff. So it's going to be pretty intense money making if you know what you're doing.
And I just wanted to transition to maybe a more relaxing tune. Have you are extremely interested in the Sage class? What do you think? I know you've been researching the lore. What do you think the Sage is in for when we get the release?
Well, the whole thing about him is that he is actually destined. Actually, so the whole concept of him is he saw the Black Spirits coming from space. He was a scientist beforehand. Before the war, the Great War that basically decimated this entire country. He saw them through space. They're actually not like sentient, like spirits or anything. They're actually not spirits. They're actually sentient aliens. So this is a really big twist in the gameplay, because I was always under the impression that this was like a magic thing, that these guys were like a spirit, like they're called Black Spirits.
Yeah, that was always my first impression, was that they were like entities of magic or substance or created somehow.
Right, exactly. And now we have this colossal twist of they're not. They're actually aliens. These are invaders. These are invasive species from another planet. These are actually aliens. He saw them coming and tried to tell everybody. Everybody basically wrote him off as crazy pants because he was the only scientist that had the ability to view into space. Um, so because of some of the devices he created, which by the way include his creations include things like ancient Kudum. He created those massive colossal weapons. He created them as a defense to get ready for these creatures. Well, I guess he decided that after they locked him up, he nested himself out in some area to keep himself safe and basically keep himself from aging because he realized it was going to take them about 50 years, 49 years to be exact, is what they said, is 49 years for these black spirits to reach the planet. Well, he's like, well, I'm not going to be in any shape to fight these guys, so I have to do something. So he basically froze himself in time in this chamber, and because he controls time and space, that's like his whole thing, and the powers of obviously the god of Tor, which once again kind of brings us back to this whole spiritual thing, which is kind of odd because he's supposed to be a scientist. So we'll kind of see more about like what's going to happen there with that whole
Right, they
connection.
kind of lost me there because, you know, as far as Scientology goes, they don't really mess too much with, not even just a religion, but just a structured way of thinking.
Yep. So we'll kind of see more about exactly how he's tied into a Tor, the god of Tor, because he's supposed to be a scientist. So we'll kind of see how that connects. The whole thing is he froze himself to keep himself safe from these black spirits when they landed. Now that they've landed, he's going to come out of hiding. The thing is that means he's made no deal with Black Spirit like all the other characters have. None of these characters, all these characters have been infected by the Black Spirit and made a deal with him, obviously, to help him to
Oh,
regain his power.
so you're saying that he's gonna be left to his own devices essentially.
I don't know if he's going to have a Black Spirit like the second he walks out. It could be when we start the story, he has some awesome cutscene where he walks out and basically gets infected right away. Or he completely enhances on his own. All of his weapon enhancements will be done in a unique way. He'll have some sort of new unique system. Along in the patch notes, from what I understand, they've also said that they're going to try to implement a more direct enhancement system for people that want to put effort into the game rather than rely on luck. So that's kind of another thing that's supposed to be either added now or part of an update with his awakening, I would assume, in a couple weeks when that comes out. What I'm thinking, or what they kind of made it sound like, this is purely my opinion of what they made it sound like, is they're going to try to make Caphras a more viable option for enhancement for people who put time into the game rather than, oh, I got lucky with that 3% chance to get pen with 100 stacks, and now I have all pen gear just because my account has luck. It'll
Right.
basically be I grind and I grind and I grind. Now I have the benefit of having pen gear because I worked my butt off to get where I'm at. Basically, people like me who have played for 6 years will have better gear than the guys that just walked in the door, even if they're super lucky, because I will benefit more off of my time.
Right.
So it's going to put
The
seasoned players above these newbies that walk in, like even our own guild guy or whatever. He isn't he the we have a guy in here with he has 298 AP, and he's only been playing for 6 months.
Yeah, our second command.
Yep.
Yeah. But I remember Caphras, the patch notes specifically said, like, this is the new way of, like, getting your higher gear, Tet and Pen. It'll be easier. Like, you'll only have to use so many, and you'll be able to get a certain Caphras levels, 1 through, like, 20, I think it was at the time, or 1 through 10, I think. And they were like, once you go beyond a certain limit, you'll get your next enhancement level. And it was originally implemented to be like, hey guys, I know you don't have your pins yet, and you're hitting 100 stacks plus, you know, and you're smashing all your stuff together and you're everything like that. So it was supposed to be for the average Joe to basically enhance their weapon to Tet or Pen.
Right, and now they're going to put even more emphasis on that in a very, very heavy way. That would be like, I'm assuming by decreasing the amount of Caphras you need to enhance, creating like a separate Caphras thing for enhancement versus just going for C Caphras. like C20, C10, whatever,
Right.
where you get small bonuses. Maybe they'll create a separate a separate Caphras thing for enhancement that's much cheaper, and we'll go towards getting the next level, and it'll make it much faster.
All right, can you give us any of your final thoughts, just in general, with the market research that we've been conducting, and as well as just your overall experience with the Sage class, like as far as the lore?
As far as the Lord, yeah, definitely, I got a little bit more to say about that. So I guess the one of the big things that they've said is his end game is to destroy and kill the Black Spirit entirely from the game. So I don't know what's going to happen necessarily, but his whole thing, his whole story is that he's going to destroy the Black Spirit.
Maybe that's Pearl Abyss's way of revamping the enhancement system. Hey guys, Sage comes out, Sage destroys Black Spirit. Oh, here, by the way, here's a completely new enhancement system. Go crazy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's kind of the route they take with it, and makes everything much easier. So, like I said, he's supposed to destroy him. So we'll see kind of how that works out, or if his story feeds into a totally new, a totally new system, or maybe he doesn't do any of that. I don't know. I mean, there could be countless things that they do with it.
Right, they could spin it off in so many different directions. But I appreciate your time today, Neve, and as always, I really appreciate you guys. Irregulars as a guild, I joined. The first time I heard these guys, they recruited me through a message in server chat, and I joined their Discord, and I didn't join their guild yet, but they were just talking so much good positivity and so many movements that they wanted to do, and they wanted to grow the guild, and that message of positivity is what I want to spread to you guys.
Yeah, and then you joined us, and then it turned around.
Yeah, then it turned around, and then now I'm the one doing all the streaming and then all the videos and everything. But yeah, but my name's been Kanka the Great. This has been Nivetan from BDO. Irregulars is the guild name. You can check out my Facebook at Kanka the Great. You could so thank you very much, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and follow my channel if you haven't already. It gets you live notifications to when I go live to help you.